Ananta shouted furiously. His eyes glowed red as if he wanted to swallow the Olicorn standing in front of him. But the Olicorn was no easy opponent. It raised its head high. Extending its long horn towards the sky, it created a circle of mysterious darkness. Each of their steps felt like an impending earthquake. The surrounding air became incredibly tense. Then, it hurled the creation towards Ananta. In an instant, Ananta's shadow was swallowed by it. Rupa, witnessing this, couldn't help but scream Ananta's name. A few seconds later, Ananta's shadow touched the ground, accompanied by blood splattering everywhere. This time, Rupa lost control. She turned around instinctively, her mouth spewing curses at him, calling him a cruel villain. Her demeanor became more ferocious than ever, as if seeking revenge for all the injuries Ananta had suffered. Suddenly, from the Olicorn, several tentacle-like shapes emerged, dark, sinister forms, moving with agility, dancing with rows of sharp, soul-sucking teeth. This entity was so horrifying that even demons would envy its terrifying nature. All the tentacles were directed towards Rupa, causing her to stop apprehensively before she could scream. Owl unexpectedly flew from behind, wielding his powerful chi and bravely engaging in battle. He continued to showcase his agility, driving back the tentacles and putting them on the defensive. Seeing the situation, Rupa charged forward. Her eyes now held no trace of humanity, and her mouth continuously roared vicious commands, die. A strange, blue object suddenly flew towards them. Luckily, Owl noticed in time. And he tried to stop it, but the object's power was immense. Both were flung back and fell to the ground, seemingly injured. The impact made the air heavier and more tense than ever before. Izan, that vile old man, stood high on the tower, reciting curses upon Loggera and her people. You who stole my right arm. He roared, I will personally crush you to pieces. As he finished speaking, the eyes of the spirit animal on his shoulder began to glow. Then, he opened his mouth, releasing blue objects towards Loggera and her group below. Owl watched the scene unfold, sweat dripping down his forehead. He realized things had become far more complicated. Before he could react, a blue divine item struck him. Luckily, Rupa reacted quickly and saved Owl from danger, and brought him to safety. While both were screaming, Izan's spirit animal was pierced by Skald's arrow. It dodged quickly, but not fast enough. The arrow pierced its wing. Izan couldn't believe his eyes. Skald continued to summon power, speaking to the free spirits of the wind. Grant me the power of the wind to tear apart these enemies. The young woman, with the bearing of a valiant warrior, raised her bow towards Izan, exuding an imposing aura. Mare, on this side, also boosted the morale of the soldiers, directing squads 3 and 4 to support the commanders. Meanwhile, all the soldiers attacked fiercely. Everyone was filled with fervor, ready to plunge into battle. After merging, Izan became more terrifying, his eyes flashing with an ominous light towards Owl's army. He let out a mocking laugh. Useless humans. Rupa, enraged, leaped up. Standing beside him, she taunted, you dare speak, where's your right arm, you fool? Izan couldn't respond, only spewing curses to vent his anger. The situation became tenser than ever. Owl leaped, brandishing his sword, fighting alongside Rupa's support. The season of ferocity attack pierced his body. Within minutes, the battle was decided. Owl's sword, though broken, had brought Izan down. Owl, finding him not yet sufficiently defeated, invited Rupa to taunt him further. Rupa's face fell as she looked towards the other battle. Something had happened to Ananta. Below, the warriors continued to fiercely fight Izan's spirit animal. Ananta's situation was dire. He lay motionless on the ground. Nadia, beside him, was pale with fear. Ananta was severely injured and needed immediate treatment. Nadia kept calling for him to wake up, but to no avail. He couldn't even move. The other side of the battle between Loggera and Olicorn is not yet there. The end of its recent attack. Loggera retreated behind the shield until the soldiers moved forward to protect her. But with a single blow, the Olicorn sent the soldiers flying. While it wasn't paying attention, Loggera attacked it from afar and slashed its neck too quickly. It was so dangerous that the head nearly separated from the neck. It still doesn't know what's going on. Loggera then ordered Nadia to quickly heal Ananta. To win this battle, his strength was needed. Loggera raised her sword, all her strength converged, or rather, it was Fragarak, the legendary sword. Loggera assumed a stance, leaping high. She struck down with a single blow at the Olicorn's head. The clash exploded. Everything around them was incinerated. After the smoke cleared, only a skeletal Olicorn remained. Loggera approached, speaking words of regret to the Olicorn. She remembered his former handsome appearance. The figure she once admired was no longer there. How could it be that only a skeleton remained? How could you become so hideous? Loggera once again raised her sword and told the Olicorn the last words, at least let her send him on his way. Suddenly, her tears flowed. In that crucial moment, the Olicorn called out her name, Princess Loggera. The two words, princess, echoed across the sky. The atmosphere was heavy with tension as all eyes turned to the towering spire, where danger lurked. Skald was worried that that place would be dangerous and hoped Loggera could come down with them tomorrow. The atmosphere was tense when suddenly a voice rang out from somewhere. Haha, Skald. You're still shy like always. The two of you turned around and were startled. It was the silhouette of the Olicorn from before. He called out and asked her why she climbed into such a dangerous place. Loggera arrogantly replied that your worries are useless, Olicorn, because you are already a person above 10,000 people. Why should I fear heights? This scene felt familiar. It had happened before, when they were carefree children playing, and she climbed to a similar height. And the Olicorn was always there to protect her. At that time, he promised to always stay by her side and protect her. Only then could she become a glorious queen. But before her lay the cruel reality, a mere skeleton. The corpse kept calling her Princess Loggera. Suddenly, the sword in Loggera's hand lowered again. She faltered. The weight of the past was too heavy to bear. The Olicorn's mind suddenly awakened. Raising his hands, he wondered, is this my current form? I don't even recognize myself. Loggera, in a moment of weakness, wondered if the Olicorn had regained consciousness. He still recognized her. As his mind slowly recovered, a voice echoed in the Olicorn's head, wake up. The scene of death reappeared. This was the massacre Gyo had wrought earlier, when he invaded and mercilessly slaughtered all who resisted. The Olicorn was exhausted after the fierce battle. Furthermore, he had been tricked into losing what was considered his second life. Everything became chaotic. Loggera and her warriors fought a desperate battle. But to no avail. Gyo successfully conquered their territory. The Olicorn's body suddenly stirred. Loggera was momentarily off guard, allowing the Olicorn and the demon controlled by Duo to merge, seizing his consciousness. Tentacles emerged, attacking everyone nearby, including Nadia and Loggera. It was like a man-eating demon. Even little Ruby was terrified. Its target shifted towards Ananta. The little lizard, sensing danger, attacked. Nadia and Loggera were knocked to the ground. Nadia anxiously urged Loggera, Your Majesty, if this continues, the casualties will only increase. We should retreat and tend to the wounded. But Nadia was not approved. Loggera screamed that the war must continue to continue. Just now she just lost control a little and his Olicorn has reached his limit. Loggera, stand up and proudly raise your sword, signaling to Nadia that it's time to join forces and then give him a fatal blow. She turned around and ordered everyone to move away. At that moment, Ananta's fiery figure approached. He warned the Olicorn, if you don't want to turn to dust, get out of the way. Loggera looked at Ananta, slightly dazed. What he possessed now was the fire spirit. It had the protective capabilities of a mare's spirit. Ananta walked step by step towards the Olicorn. The Olicorn hissed and snorted, trying to intimidate Ananta, but it was pointless. He probably feared the sounds like a bull snorting, but it was insignificant. Ananta raised his hand, conjuring a fireball. Then he hurled it towards the Olicorn. The monster didn't back down. It created a black hole to engage Ananta. The two forces collided, creating a terrifying explosion. Afterward, the two monsters clashed like moths to a flame. Ananta opened the fight, delivering a devastating blow. He mocked the Olicorn's current form. Both he and the Olicorn were victims of the cursed winged Gyu. But the Olicorn was a coward, cowering in fear, cursing Ananta while unleashing devastating punches, telling him to stop clinging to life and accept his fate. The Olicorn, now powerless, muttered Ananta's words, clinging to life, for what? He didn't even understand what he was doing. Nadia, meanwhile, was using her power to restrain the Olicorn's body. At this moment, the Olicorn seemed to surrender. A skyscraping light appeared from the sky, and around it emitted a powerful shockwave. The movement was Loggera creating the light. She raised her sword and recited the oath. In the name of Queen Loggera Einherjar of Valkyria. My friend, rest in peace. With those words, the light struck the Olicorn. The radiant light descended, taking the Alicorn's soul. All vanished into nothingness. He had seen that beautiful light before. In his past, when he was with Loggera. They watched the sunset together, and he vowed to always be by her side. But that was just a memory, filled with love. The Alicorn's form gradually faded. Loggera was still dazed with regret, but if he had lived a good life, he would not have died. It wasn't his fault, only Gyu's cruelty. In those final moments, Loggera couldn't hold back her tears. Ananta finally came to his senses. He didn't understand what had just happened, the outburst. Ruby seemed to have done something. Loggera, unable to contain her grief, collapsed. It was understandable. He was her childhood friend, someone who would have given his life for her. Nadia approached, trying to comfort Loggera, but it was pointless. Loggera believed mourning the dead was natural and necessary. But Nadia disagreed. Behind them, soldiers were still fighting, and one wrong step could cost them their lives. We must continue fighting so their deaths won't be in vain. A roar echoed through the air. It was Rupa, punishing the cruel old Izan. Her roar carried the resentment of the fallen soldiers and the countless innocents who had perished because of him. He shouldn't expect a painless death. Despite that, Izan's face remained smug, infuriating. His expression only fueled Rupa's anger, though she remained surprisingly calm. He looked at Rupa with a sinister smile. "A trap awaits you," he said. As he finished speaking, a light shone down from above. From it emerged Gaan. The message quickly came that someone was approaching from the direction of the royal road. All eyes turned to Gaan. At the climax, something hurtled towards them at the speed of light. It pierced the tower and a fist stopped abruptly before Gaan. And it was none other than our server's top one, Ananta. He gently placed a tender, yet powerful punch on Gaan's cheek. He almost lost a few teeth. Ananta remembered a previous report mentioning Gyu's most loyal subordinate. The owl above couldn't foresee what was happening. Sephiroth are known as elite individuals carefully selected to protect the embodiment of the wings, a title bestowed upon the 10 strongest, granted power from the branch of the tree. The top warriors are considered his 5 great disciples, each position interconnected and constantly monitoring each other. Izan's appearance suggests one of Gyu's 5 underlings might be similar. Then Gaan's power is comparable to Behiran's. After recovering from the fateful punch, Gaan spoke in a superior tone. He arrogantly challenged Ananta, threatening to crush him. Ananta waited for his cue, charging before the battle, roaring to bolster his spirit. Then the two clashed. In this encounter, both were truly astonished. From Ananta's perspective, Gaan was no pushover. He seemed to possess extraordinary regenerative abilities. Gaan retracted his hand and unleashed Pagalen on Ananta, followed by Great Mountain collapsing first. But he was wrong, it wasn't that easy. Ananta called Ruby from behind. The combination was perfect. Powerful, but it needs to be done in the right order. First, he opened his mouth and let out a few menacing sounds to psychologically unsettle him. It sounds silly, but it worked. Young Gaan was stunned by Ananta. Loggera watched Ananta without blinking. His current state seemed almost godlike. He unleashed a torrent of fire towards Gaan. Gaan was almost paralyzed. Seeing this, Nadia beside him also used a skill to assist. In a moment, everything was incinerated. Ananta stood there, unyielding. Young Gaan was merely a blackened figure obscured by the thick smoke. Gaan roared in fury, acknowledging Ananta as a formidable opponent. After completing the task, Ruby was allowed to rest. She had worked hard. Now it was Ananta's turn to shine. He steadily advanced towards young Gaan. Gaan transformed into a large, golden tet, demanding to fight Ananta until he submitted. Ananta leaped without hesitation. This was his battlefield, and all he needed to do was defeat the enemy before him. The literal showdown began with a spectacular first clash. Next was a slap to the face. Ananta was slightly disadvantaged and retreated. His eyes suddenly lit up. He realized Gaan was using mountain piercing, combined with Gaolin. He dashed towards Ananta like a whirlwind. He was certainly no pushover, and his power couldn't be underestimated. A single touch inflicted significant damage on Ananta. Then came a masterful escape from the pressure, by Ananta. Stop attacking on the left. Then to the right again. The two of them toyed with each other like a cat and mouse. Finally, Gaan seized the opportunity and grabbed Ananta's hand. Pulled back. Loggera and Nadia just watched, their faces even tenser than the combatants. Though Ananta was on the defensive, Loggera showed no contempt. Instead, she considered him a truly immortal being. The curse provided him with unending regenerative energy and an indomitable spirit, unafraid of any pain. The source of Ananta's destructive power remained a mystery. That form further demonstrated his aggressive spirit and mental strength. So it could be said that, how could a warrior in full armor fall to a curse? She signaled to Nadia that they needed to do something to help Ananta. Nadia understood and produced a branch. It might be the best they could do at this point. Ananta gradually emerged from the wreckage. Gaan was thinking that a fortress made of iron would be difficult to shatter. But no matter how strong, it would surely have a weakness. Suddenly, Ananta heard a voice calling his name, startling him. The caller was Rupa, holding the Ezen bow. She informed him of its safety. Only Rupa would dare call him so audaciously. Then, a raging fire erupted from the debris, seemingly drawing the Ezen bow towards it. Old Ezen cried out for Gaan's help, but it was too late. Even if he screamed until his throat was raw, it was useless. Would he even survive to need saving? The power of the bow increased. The branch cracked, and was slowly repairing itself. Ananta's eyes changed instantly. His violent appearance was further enhanced by black snakes sprouting from his back. Ananta proudly challenged Gaan. Owl, nearby, was surprised by Ananta. It seemed the power emanating from him was that of a predator. Gaan was somewhat surprised, but not significantly. He then sneered, mocking Ananta for absorbing Ezen's power. Then he used his old mountain-piercing move. In the urgency, Ananta used his tentacles to block Gaan's attack. Then, using his remaining tentacles, he moved Rupa and the others to safety. He signaled for everyone to evacuate to a safer location. Gaan drew closer. Then came the second clash of the young pair. Gaan used his steel body to deliver a blow from above. But Ananta saw his intention. He quickly incorporated those tentacles. Rising up, they wrapped around Gaan's limbs, rendering him unable to fight. A voice echoed in his mind, "Why are you letting yourself be distracted? In battle, never take your eyes off your opponent for a moment." The words reverberated in his mind, suffocating Gaan. Seeing his opponent distracted, Ananta seized the opportunity and lunged. Gaan tried to react, but it was too late. The result was a direct hit from Ananta's attack. In that moment, memories flooded back, a day of blue skies, white clouds, and sunshine. While strolling, Gaan encountered a wild boar, which he defeated. He then mocked the boar's weakness, wondering where he could find a worthy opponent. When he finished speaking, he turned around and saw a big guy. Usually, big talkative guys only have a shell and a mouth to talk about, but they don't do anything. Yes, it's not unexpected. After interrogating and asserting dominance, the fight began. Initially, when facing the other man's punch, Gaan hadn't used his full strength and was pushed back. The other man thought Gaan was defeated. But from the smoky haze, Gaan's figure slowly emerged. Both exchanged a friendly glare. The other man transformed into a giant crocodile. Relying on his larger size, he boasted and threatened. 3 days later, witnessed by Gyo, Gaan defeated the crocodile. The crocodile, initially very boastful, now had a swollen mouth from the beating, lying motionless on the ground beside Gaan. Gyo was surprised. He hadn't expected to witness this, especially since it was the first time someone had taken a branch from his loyal subordinate without a scratch. Gaan turned and asked him if he was the Wings. Gyo confirmed his identity and asked Gaan's name. After Gaan's name was spoken, he officially became the one chosen by heaven. Meanwhile, unnoticed, the crocodile awoke. It opened its mouth wide, roaring, intending to swallow Gaan. But Gaan wouldn't be easily defeated. A punch landed directly in its mouth, literally punching a large hole in its jaw. Gaan gave the crocodile some final praise, acknowledging its strength. It was the first time Gaan had met a worthy opponent. And he would use his own strength to defeat his crocodile friend. And he would become the peak, the embodiment of dominance. Gyo above showed amusement at Gaan's thoughts. He revealed that the peak Gaan sought was right before him. Because he was Gyo, the embodiment of the Wings, created by heaven. Gaan looked at Gyo's superior demeanor with interest. He saw Gyo as the enemy he had to defeat at all costs. Unaware of Gaan's rebellious thoughts, Gyo cast a spell. Gaan was enveloped in a static light. Above, countless Bagua rays appeared. They formed ropes that bound him, suspending him in mid-air. Gyo urged Gaan to surrender and submit. If so, Gaan would witness the opening of the atmospheric layers, called forth by heaven. Gaan refused, he wouldn't surrender, believing he hadn't suffered any significant injury. Gyo coldly ordered the magical formation to tighten. To etch the defeat into Gaon's very being, Gyo intensified the light, scarring Gaon's soul. Otherwise, he couldn't become the great tree. He placed a curse on the pangolin, wishing its submission to Gyo would reach the clouds. Ananta noticed something was wrong with Gaan, a scar from his first battle. The way he avoided injury to his left eye was too obvious. From that weakness, he devised a plan to defeat the pangolin. Outside the battle, everyone's faces were contorted. Inside, a raging storm was taking place. Everything was chaotic. Gaan vowed to destroy Ananta, the physical pain etched into his soul, screaming in agony. With an iron body, immune to all injury, is his pride. As soon as Ananta looked, he realized that it was the physical power from his tree branch. The ability he'd always been insecure about, after using it to kill you. This time, he would fight to the death with his wings again. Gaan scorned Ananta, a weakling like you dares to face my mighty wings. His interface suddenly upgraded to a Super VIP Pro version. He challenged Ananta, come on, this is your only chance to test yourself against the world's peak. Ananta, with his cool boy interface, retorted with some playful taunts, you think I need you, a little scratch and you're already throwing a tantrum. Fighting an enemy without mentally preparing for your body to be torn to shreds, you're just a stepping stone for me, got it. I, Ananta, will defeat Gyo. With that, Ananta's black snake tendrils surged forward to attack. But Gaan obliterated them. No matter, that was just the appetizer, the main course begins tomorrow. Ananta charged, but was still struck by his claws. But he didn't give up. Ananta was determined to fight to the bitter end. But both sides struggled fiercely. In the end, he was knocked down by the anteater. After countless attacks, there was no way to pierce his armor. With this, Ananta realized things weren't going well. And so, Ananta showed off his transformation skills. Ananta transformed into a giant winged green serpent. One of us will be the hunter, the other the prey. He had defeated countless powerful enemies. He had overcome all the enemy's tricks and schemes, regardless of others' fates. You, who use your own power to devour and hunt your enemies, souls that cannot be merged, I will kill you to reach a new height. Before he could even reach him, the anteater's claw pierced his neck. Everyone else was evacuating. The soldiers were anxious. Rupa looked at Ananta, unable to leave, but under Owl's urging, she had no choice but to obey. Loggera watched as everyone evacuated, feeling somewhat relieved. The only thing left was Ananta's battle. Nadia was meticulously casting her spell. She could feel it. The branch implanted deep within her resonating with Olicorn's branch. These branches contained immense power, enough to transform the wielder. If one couldn't handle it, they would go insane and be consumed by their own power. Because of this flaw, the branches struggled to maintain their form, but Olicorn's branch still held immense power within. If she could unleash all that power now, her ultimate spear could pierce any armor. Having decided, she began, merging her staff with Olicorn's implanted branch. Nadia called out to Olicorn, lend me your strength to protect your loved ones. Andrasta was ready. The light she emitted was blinding, causing the anteater to glance away. In that brief moment of distraction, Ananta seized him. Gaon's familiar voice echoed, you're letting your guard down again. Even if you lose everything, you must continue. Ananta, having gained the upper hand, taunted Gaan, even if this body is torn to shreds, I won't die. Nadia was preparing for a spectacular shot. The arrow flew, shaking the ground. However, the arrow struck Ananta in the head. He was utterly surprised. Ananta laughed, my trump card is gone. It's very difficult to find a worthy opponent, but before they even hit, they already scored an own goal. When only one skeleton remains, then Ananta still struggled to rise and confront the pangolin. It wasn't, the power of the Olicorn had erupted. A quasi-star gradually formed. Gaan lay panting, admitting defeat. He had lost with a fatal wound. And now, Ananta had won. He lost, yet he still smiled. Ananta was enigmatic. I don't see anything to be happy about. Why is this guy laughing maniacally? Dying without fulfilling your wish, what's so funny about that? Gaan compared him to an ember of a curse, inextinguishable. That would eventually become a giant flame, one day consuming even greater wings. If he, instead of you, had possessed the curse, he would have made that guy fall from heaven, so enjoy him with glee. Ananta asked dispiritedly, is that all you want to say? He responded to your question, he sends his regards from hell. You truly are the embodiment of revenge. After devouring a delicious lemongrass and chili grilled Gaan, Ananta sat listlessly with Azi Dahaku behind. Ananta felt tired, he wasn't happy at all. Instead of comfort, Azi Dahaku's response was scornful, foolish mortal, tricking gold, enduring hardship, only after facing difficulties can you become strong. You must have forgotten the pact you made that day. Ananta coldly denied it, nothing has changed, even the curse is just a tool for my revenge. Now, all that matters is killing Gyo, my own life is insignificant. In that case, I, Azi Dahaku, will wait for the day your predicted destruction arrives. The scene shifts to the evening, Ananta opens his eyes. And sees someone whose face he cannot make out. Who is this? A strange warmth spreads throughout his body. In the distance, in the camp, Lagertha's solitary figure stands in the center, where the bodies of the fallen soldiers are neatly arranged on wooden racks, their swords planted in the ground in straight lines. She orders her subordinates to light the final pyre, to send their comrades to the golden stream. In the blazing fire, illuminating the night, everyone's heart is a piece of coldness, lingering and reluctant to leave. Rupa couldn't help but sob. Nadia turns her head towards Ananta, not far behind. She walks towards him, tells him she senses his presence. Ananta is stunned. How much time has passed? Half a day has passed since he defeated the enemy. After recovering and treating their wounds, they held a mass funeral for the victims of the battle. Unfortunately, less than half of them survived. It's truly amazing that they survived such a fierce battle. Without Ananta's efforts and everyone's sacrifice, they would never have won. Moreover, the curse residing within him has grown alarmingly strong. With his current strength, no matter how powerful the incarnations are, they cannot guarantee they can defeat him. Ananta interrupts Nadia, I've heard enough. I have more important things to do. Ananta looks at the lizard, Ruby, approaching him. We have something to discuss, don't we? The scene changes to another location. Sephiroth's first position. Leviathan, incarnation of the abyss, pushes open the door and enters the room. She calls out, Behiran. Leviathan demands an explanation, what happened, why this emergency summoning. As soon as she finished speaking, a huge block of ice literally fell from the sky. The next person is the fifth seat of the Sephiroth. There was a boy with a polar bear helmet on his head. Wura, the incarnation of ice, had just arrived. He was screaming for Leviathan. He had bad news for you. He received news that Gaan had died in battle at the hands of a hated enemy. This can't be happening. The fourth seat of Sephiroth has also arrived. That battle-crazed fellow has caused Gyo so much trouble. But Gyo needn't worry, I will forever protect this place with my life. Kishigla, the embodiment of rage. The third chair of the Sephiroth sits at a corner scratching the ground. Jiz is the embodiment of thunder. Amidst the lively chatter, Behiran punched the space in front of him, shattering it into pieces. Inside the space is an eye watching them. Please calm down, big brothers and sisters. Please show your condolences for the death of our comrades in the most sincere way. This sorrow feels incomplete, it can only be washed away with blood. We shall prepare a memorial service to soothe Gaon's soul. Go back to Ananta. Lupa goes to chat with Nadia and asks if Ananta is okay. Nadia tells her to let Ananta and Ruby talk alone. Rupa curiously asks if he said anything else. Nadia wearily shakes her head. Remembering Ananta's past, he once knelt before his sister's body, and swore that he would definitely return to this place one day to beg. Please wait for me until then. I will return with Gyo's heart. And offered it to her. Return to reality. Ananta with nostalgia. Chat with Ruby. On the day my sister passed away. The death of her and the other villagers he really wanted to believe was not his fault. If it weren't for Ruby, perhaps he couldn't control his own sanity. Since that day he has buried his heart in hatred for Gyo. He had always had to suppress his emotions except his thirst for revenge. If it weren't for Ruby, he wouldn't have been able to endure it all. He hates all incarnations of this world including Gyo. Why did his sister die and not him? He has always searched for the answer to that question. Each tear silently rolled down Ruby's face. She trembled as she spoke. Gyo, Azi Dahaku, they are all the same. Wielding power according to her wishes and standards is all in order to avenge the apparitions discussed. Ananta stiffened in surprise and turned his head to look at Ruby. She's also an avatar, isn't she? Ruby's last line of defense was broken by his question. Sobbing and sobbing, she kept saying sorry to him. She has kept it a secret until now because she doesn't want him to disgust her. Ananta stared blankly at the starry sky, closing his eyes. Remember the time when the branch of the Olicorn came and resided in his body. Something had become disturbed in his head. The Alicorn's memories were something he never wanted to forget. Ruby sniffled, questioning, a memory. Ananta gently walked towards Ruby he had been swept away by in the past. And there's something he wants to tell her. Ananta reached out to wipe away the tears still lingering on her eyes. She had always been by his side. I'm sorry and thank you. I forgot that I still have a family and have always been with my family all this time. Ruby couldn't help but burst into tears. Emotionally hugging Ananta, she shouted loudly that she was Ananta's brother's family. The stronger the branch of the incarnation, the more vivid its emotions and feelings will be. Alicorn's branches held his regrets, pain, and precious memories with the queen. And in his branch, there was nothing but endless greed, burning for revenge. He was always like him. He became a beast, erupting with fighting spirit to fill the bloody hole in his heart. Ruby worriedly looked at Ananta's sad face. Are you sad? She stroked his face, comforting him with the most sincere words. Don't be sad, I'm your family, I don't want you to be upset at all. Ananta stood up, taking Ruby's small hand. Wait a bit, when I've avenged my sister. When that battle ends, let's go visit her together. Scene change, the military camp. Loggera was incredibly astonished when she saw Whitefoot appear there. She didn't remember anything happening. There was clearly no dispatch ordering reinforcement of reserve troops. Whitefoot interrupted her. Forgive my rudeness, my lord, but a serious situation has occurred. They're fiercely competing for the top position right now. Where is Ananta? Nadia, standing in the distance, was also extremely surprised by Whitefoot's appearance. Lagertha's close female warrior couldn't hold back her anger anymore and yelled at Whitefoot. What is this disrespectful attitude? The funeral for the warriors hasn't even finished. But Whitefoot insisted, this directly concerns Leviathan's stronghold. My power is also limited. She can only teleport to the safest location of the destination. Blackfoot, standing beside her, took out a rabbit-faced pocket watch, examining the safety of areas within the spatial displacement. It's very likely being constantly monitored. My sister is very timid, so even her powerful abilities reflect her personality. Loggera angrily shouted, why would you think the fortress is unsafe? Whitefoot responded to Lagertha's fury. The only criterion her power uses to assess her safety is 1. For someone completely incapable of fighting, what threat to her life would have an impact? There's a high possibility that Leviathan's secret fortress is currently under enemy attack. A long time ago, when this world was still a blank sheet, a giant wave shook the universe. Space and time expanded infinitely, opening the horizons of the world. Among them, beings were born. The god of angels, ruling over prayers and life. The god of fiendish nature, ruling over curses and death. The god of magic, ruling over miracles and laws. The god of witchcraft, ruling over cycles and melodies. The god of warriors, ruling over war and strife. The god of machinery, ruling over creation and destruction. They were the 6 absolute gods. Eventually, the gods began to create the blue planet we live on. They created countless lives, including humanity. The gods believed a prophecy was necessary to help life coexist. On their behalf, the gods' secret treasure, containing their power, was bestowed upon 5 living beings' souls. And those were the first incarnations. A quick-witted child asked, I have a question, mother. I believe there are 6 first incarnations. The grandmother praised the child's quickness. Unlike the other gods who bestowed sacred treasures upon strong souls of beings, the god of machinery created his own representative, a perfect being modeled after humans, the machine incarnation. The incarnations set off to find their own lands. They coexisted with humanity as allies for a long time, yet peace didn't last long. It was because of the winged incarnation. The winged incarnation robbed the gods of their sacred treasure and destroyed the first incarnations. To the end he brutally massacred those who had opposed him. Therefore, Leviathan rose to defeat the incarnation of the devil's wings. They prepared for battle under the queen's command. A little girl worriedly asked her grandmother, what if something happens while the queen is on her conquest? Bernhard stepped forward from behind and told the girl not to worry. The incarnations and warriors under the queen's command were all elite. And Queen Loggera herself was a warrior, he was certain she would return safely from her conquest. Bernhard fumbled, apologizing to the grandmother. He wondered if he was interrupting the children's lesson. The grandmother respectfully bowed, thanking him for his time. A playful boy pointed at Raclette. Then she'll be as strong as Bernhard. Another little girl curiously asked, how did a child like Raclette become an incarnation? The grandmother explained that incarnations marry and have children. Their power is often passed down to their descendants. Raclette must have inherited her power from her incarnation parents. The boy giggled. If you were Bernhard's son, you could also become an incarnation. In the pouring rain of that dark night, the bells announcing an impending invasion shook the city of Leviathan. Bernhard jumped up in alarm, an enemy invasion. Wura was before the city gates. Is this the fortress gate? It's incredibly valuable to hold. Monsi, the 10th seed of Sephiroth, the incarnation of monstrous power, was also excited. The soldiers were terrified by the sight before them. Bernhard's face turned pale. Why now, while the queen is away? Wura swung his hammer, unleashing a blizzard attack to clear a path for Monsi. He excitedly yelled, it's time, Monsi. Monsi, in the form of a mammoth, gathered momentum, charging towards the city gate. The soldiers panicked. Prince Bernhard, if this continues. Bernhard quickly ordered the entire army to prepare for battle. Just as Monsi reached the gate, a figure just as large knocked him away from the gate. The second in command of the Leviathan army, Tarkhan, the incarnation of resistance, stood tall before the gate, a guardian blocking any danger from entering. Wura was thrilled to see Tarkhan. He sneered at Monsi, you were supposed to break the gate, but you got knocked back, pathetic and cowardly. Wura provocatively asked, want to switch places and let me lead? Monsi angrily stomped on the ice, that's unfair. I'll fight to the death. To stop him with just the power of a minor incarnation, that must be Tarkhan's special ability. I'll make mincemeat of Tarkhan with my increased weight and strength. Bernhard, watching the fierce battle from the ramparts, shook his head at Monsi's arrogance. Monsi still knew nothing of humility. He hurled his massive body to crush Tarkhan, but was once again stopped. Tarkhan had no special power. Tarkhan looked at the arrogant Monsi with the eyes of a deathbringer. He coldly struck Monsi on the head. All that Tarkhan is a mere fighting soul. He was favored by the god of warriors. And he is the strongest commander of the Leviathan army. Bernhard jumped down from the citadel, saying Tarkhan arrived just in time. Tarkhan asked if he was planning to directly confront them. The answer, needless to say, was yes. The weapon Wura wielded earlier was the sacred weapon of the Northern Ice Blood Protection Guild. This incarnation is extremely cold, and it is his mission to fight him. Wura responded with a mischievous smile. The icy lands belong to the Northern Ice Blood lineage. Because of its harsh and unforgiving environment, no war or invasion had taken place for a long time. This land was considered a paradise where humans and incarnations lived together. One day, a stranger came to this paradise. A warrior who had earned countless prestigious military awards from battlefields across the continent, Bernhard, the incarnation of courage. Those who had never experienced war were afraid of Bernhard. Yet, there was one person who pitied him and welcomed him to paradise. That person was Tosca, the incarnation of white snow. Bernhard, who knew nothing but fighting, was saved by her kindness. They naturally fell in love. They married with everyone's blessings. Soon after, their first child was born. However, they didn't know that they wouldn't be able to live happily ever after. How could they face their monstrous child? They worried about their child's future, as it would grow up amidst the disgust and rejection of those around them. At first, they were filled with regret and sorrow. Until a savior appeared, Gyo, the incarnation of great wings. Bernhard was filled with self-reproach. He had been so foolish. He had been deceived by the promise of saving his child, without considering the consequences of his choice. Wura chuckled with amusement. He didn't remember how many years had passed. Quite a long time, isn't it, Bernhard? Well, biologically speaking, you're the one who gave birth to me, so shouldn't I call you father? Wura held up a bear fur hat, a gleeful expression on his face. If that's the case, then from now on, I should call this hide my mother, right? Bernhard didn't hesitate or say anything more. He directly attacked Wura with his sword. He angrily warned him not to insult his wife. Wura, with an icy expression, parried each attack. His form, so disappointing. This is why you're called the incarnation of strength. Bernhard's sword froze upon contact with Wura's stone hammer. He unleashed a flurry of attacks, sending Bernhard flying. Wura watched with amusement as he couldn't block the attacks. "Aren't you proud? I was once just a monster, but I've become this strong thanks to your and Tosca's power." Bernhard calmly said to the enraged Tarkhan beside him, "Don't worry. He won't fall until the battle ends." Wura laughed mockingly, "Oh, you don't know yet, do you? Fighting is fun. But duty always comes first." And inside the city, the citizens are being massacred by the 9th seed of Sephiroth, Mantia, the incarnation of radiant light. The 8th seed of Sephiroth, Arachna, the incarnation of silence, is also present. Deep within the Leviathan fortress, soldiers are urgently evacuating the citizens. The old woman is also assisting the soldiers. "Everyone, please be careful and follow me." While everyone wasn't paying attention, Raclette froze in place. She looked up at the ceiling of the cellar, noticing something unusual. And at that moment, Mantia, Arachna, and Kasagla jumped down, intercepting the group, launching a direct attack. The scene shifts back to Bernhard, looking at Wura's triumphant smile. He also realized that something was wrong here, so from the beginning the invasion was all just a distraction. Wura was extremely excited. He guessed right. He slammed the ice hammer on the ground and unleashed a blizzard. He erected a crystal palace of ice, trapping them both inside with him. Tarkhan's face was gloomy. He swung his staff with all his might, but only managed to slightly shake the ice wall. It remained undamaged. Wura watched his expression with amusement. "This isn't good," he thought. "The crystal palace is the strongest defense within the blizzard. If they want to escape, they have no choice but to defeat him. This is the sacred land, revered by God Gaan, and he wouldn't let anyone survive." Bernhard stared in shock at Wura's white bear form. He was utterly astonished. This is the karmic retribution for their actions. Wura furiously charged, attacking the two. Tarkhan met his attack without mercy. But the attack that sent Monsi flying was easily blocked by Wura. He had time to taunt him. "You look worried. You're planning to defeat me as quickly as possible, aren't you? It won't be that easy. He possesses the power of 2 avatars and his branch's power. Can you even withstand it? If this continues, you won't be able to protect anyone." Tarkhan did not react at all to Wura's encouragement. "Then do your best." Wura flinched, sensing the killing intent. He quickly retreated. What, was he scared? While Wura was still panicked. Bernhard, in fighting mode, the brown bear rushed forward and gave him a big slap that woke him up. Wura looked in fear at Bernhard's combat form. These are the number 1 and 2 commanders of the Leviathan army. The scene shifts to the deepest hidden floor of Mantia Fortress, where Arachna frantically attacks the door in front of her. Kishulga disgustedly tells Mantia to stop. "You're making too much noise, you've been attacking it for so long, and the door's still intact. Don't tell me you can't break one of the doors here, you're truly useless." Kishulga turned around, pointing at the civilians approaching from afar. "Instead of breaking that door, can you deal with those invaders, if they get closer?" Doesn't she think she'll be a bit bothered? Mantia and Arachna were shocked by Kishulga's expression. They understood. With savage laughter, they turned to deal with the civilians. Kishulga strolled leisurely, as if this were her home. "The people living in this fortress are the last remaining. Can you hear the fate of the warriors, those who are dying miserably, to save you?" Kishulga laughed scornfully, placing her hand on the wall in front of her. This wall. Amidst the desperate cries of the people, the door in front of them was easily melted by her slime. Kishulga smiled pityingly. "How long do you think that can protect you? I can easily kill everyone here if I want. Surely they know that, right?" Uncontrolled excitement spread across her eyes. "Oh, pitiful humans, I'll give you one last chance." Kishulga pointed towards the children being protected by their foster mother. "Those children over there. Offer their hearts to me." She licked her fingers greedily. "Just do that, and everyone else will be saved." The terrified children clung to their foster mother's skirts. She angrily shouted, "Everyone, be clear-headed. Do you really intend to harm the children? Don't let that monster lead us. You will not be allowed to touch the children." Kishulga was angered by the foster mother's warning. Impatiently, she gnashed her teeth in annoyance. How annoying. She ruined her fun. She just had to kill them all. The godmother quickly hugged the children to protect them. In the critical moment, Raclette quickly launched an attack against Kishulga's slime, protecting everyone. She was extremely delighted. It seemed she had found a new toy. How disappointing the strength and determination of the fragile leaves were. I also have someone, kid, a precious existence more than anything else in this world. The most noble and respectable person of creation, even at this moment, her mind was filled with his image. She wouldn't let anything but herself win his heart. Kishulga went wild. You know what this feeling is called. It's called love. Raclette was petrified by her terrifying snake form. The little girl fell to the ground, crying in terror. Kishulga watched the crying girl with delight. So, what will you do now? I regretfully wonder if you have enough talent to play with me for a while. The godmother, panicked, called out Raclette's name. Then she rushed towards the girl, shielding her. She gently looked at the frightened Raclette. Are you hurt, child? But her words were immediately cut short by Kishulga. Using her long, slender tongue, she pierced the woman's back, wrapping around her lightly and ending her life, like a cliché play. Don't ruin my entertainment like that. She clutched the woman's body in her hand, using her slime to melt her. What a worthless old woman. Her attention fell on Raclette, who was holding a small dagger. In her hand, the girl murmured, I hate you. Kishulga froze, as if struck. This kid, could it be that she just transformed a malevolent spirit? Raclette was completely consumed by hatred. I hate you. Melt. Just a small dagger, yet it managed to sever one of Kishulga's legs. She screamed wildly, uncontrollably. Mantia heard her scream and was extremely surprised. Lady Kishulga. Raclette seemed to have lost control, continuously swinging her dagger. Melt. Kishulga struggled to dodge the girl's attacks, then hissed furiously, damn brat, damn it. She wasn't one to back down, spitting slime in return. Melt. But her slime now posed little threat to the girl. Raclette stopped her slime with her own. Kishulga, threatened like never before, screamed with hatred, I will never forgive you, even if you crush it while it's alive and drink it. That's not good at all. Mantia and Arachna rushed to Kishulga's side. Are you alright? She cursed, all useless animals, it's such a bother to play the role of an advisor so precisely. Before she could utter another word, something that looked like a gigantic tree trunk shot forward, hitting Kishulga and sending her flying 10 meters. With that, Kishulga's surgically enhanced face probably turned to dust. Seeing Kishulga flung away like a crushed, filthy centipede, Mantia froze in shock. What the hell was that? Before they could think further, Loggera and Aul charged forward, swinging their swords at her, attacking her from both sides. Loggera glared hatefully, you disgusting wretches, the queen is here to deal with you. Meanwhile, inside, Nadia tightly embraced the traumatized Raclette. You were scared, weren't you? You're trembling, you must have been very scared. You don't have to be afraid anymore, I won't let anyone hurt you again. So please, return to yourself, so you can return to the arms of those you love. From Raclette's eyes, a single tear slowly rolled down, the dark splotches on her body gradually disappeared, and her eyes returned to their clear, golden color. The little girl couldn't hold back anymore and burst into tears of pain. The children quickly gathered to hug the girl. Nadia stepped out from behind the protective circle of trees she had formed, once again, creating a protective barrier for everyone inside. Kishulga went mad, screaming loudly. She heard the enemy had abandoned this basement along with the upper class, but where did all these people come from? But that doesn't matter anymore, because here, we will strip them all bare, rip apart their insides. Nadia spoke softly. She must be the one who caused this brutal tragedy. Kishulga sneered maniacally, so, what can you do? Nadia smiled faintly, thank you for becoming such a wicked person. Because of you, I no longer need to hesitate. Kishulga froze in surprise. What is this déjà vu? It's like when she was a little girl, a long time ago. The kind of malice only demonic souls could emanate. Is it hatred? She looked down at Nadia arrogantly. Don't look at me like that, you wretched thing. Even when the ice melts. Who gave you the right to look at me like that? But Nadia's calmness answered her madness. Although she had lost her memories of the past, she couldn't think of anyone she had ever killed with her own hands. This time Kishulga was really scared and jumped out. It wasn't déjà vu. This familiar feeling, only those at the top of the food chain possess this aura of supremacy. Nadia is coming closer, so please tell her her name. So I can remember you as the only person I ever killed. Scene changes to Bernhard. This is impossible. Tarkan leads the offense and defense. Bernhard always aims for true shots and leaves no room for loopholes. They seem invincible, but you never know. fighting two people continuously is not a good strategy. Wura cannot afford to be careless. He launched an attack, throwing ice shards, distracting Tan. Then he lunged to attack. Then Bernhard also rushed towards him. Wura used his bare hands to block the blow. The fundamentals of combat. He will take them down one by one, starting with the weakest. Which Bernhard reminds him of the basics of fighting. Never give up. Then he will teach you a lesson. Not for long. Tarkhan used his frozen arm to restrain him. Wura shouted a warning to the two, if you think this futile resistance will work against me, you're wrong, no one can defeat me. But he didn't gloat for long. Because Ananta's flames incinerated his crystal castle. Bernhard still hadn't grasped what was happening. Then Ananta scoffed, you two are having this much trouble with just one enemy. Pathetic. Rupa waved to the two of them before asking anything. Then Wura interrupted Leviathan's conversation about reinforcements and he wrapped himself in cold ice. You dare chatter while I'm still here. How disappointing. Bernhard watched Wura's form, his armor. He spoke, stopping Ananta, he's the fifth seed of Sephiroth, he's no easy opponent. But Rupa told him to calm down. Ananta isn't that weak. Wura was surprised, you intend to fight me alone. Ananta sneered, how long will you keep chattering? Wura, enraged by his words, immediately attacked. It was laughable, but his punch didn't even faze Ananta. Rupa smirked. Ananta, you even defeated Sephiroth's second seat. Wura was astonished, muttering, that's incredible power, could you be? Ananta, the embodiment of vengeance. Calmly. Threw a punch, sending Wura flying out of his ice armor. He recalled Behiran's words, to call him immediately in an emergency. He used his power to open a portal. Bernhard looked at the open portal, could it be? Ananta continued, it is I. The embodiment of wings. Meanwhile, an unforeseen event occurred. Aul had betrayed them, turning the tide of the battle. Kishulga remained defiant, despite being intimidated by Nadia's aura, sweating profusely, don't look at me like that. She'll show her just how vast the difference in their power is. Kishulga unleashed a cloud of poison gas, surprising Loggera. She quickly called Aul to her side and used a shield. This is my undivided form, suffer and die in my poisonous tide. But Nadia calmly poked at Kishulga's dark heart, you're struggling in fear and shame. All of Kishulga's attacks were blocked by Nadia. She could only curse furiously, damn it. Her corrosive poison had no effect on Nadia, if so, then she would tear her to pieces with her own hands. But before she could touch Nadia, she was pulled into a dark, inky space. Kiso was bewildered, what is this? I'm collapsing, falling out of my giant centipede form, no, this is ridiculous. Nadia intended to overwhelm her in direct combat. Loggera sweated profusely, looking at Nadia, so, that's her original power. Aul spoke, it seems she's won. And unexpectedly, Aul plunged his sword through Nadia's heart. While Loggera was distracted, Mantia and Arachna subdued her. Kishulga burst into a triumphant laugh. Loggera, unwilling to accept it, shouted, why? Why did Aul betray them? Aul only coldly offered an apology. One day the truth will come to light. Loggera was shocked at the scene before her eyes. This was impossible. Even now she could still see the anger directed towards the embodiment of wings within him. Aul calmly replied, that's why I could easily deceive you, to distract your insightful gaze into people's true nature. The rage directed at the embodiment of his wings couldn't be a lie. Mantia triumphantly kicked Lajertha's head to the ground, shut up, little queen. Aul told them, if you want to easily eliminate the remaining army commanders, it's best not to harm the queen. He turned his head and urged Kishulga, resolve this mess quickly. Kishulga had also realized he was the spy Gyo mentioned, but so what, how dare he order her around? Aul glared at her with disgust, who do you think this is all for? If it weren't for you almost losing your life, I wouldn't have intervened. Now the embodiment of conquest has fallen, the power will once again, but he didn't finish his sentence. Nadia, who had just been stabbed, slowly stood up. Aul stared in astonishment. Nadia seemed unharmed, revived. How was that possible? He clearly stabbed through her heart. Nadia was no longer Nadia. Aul quickly hoisted Kishulga onto his shoulder. Then he took flight, leaving Mantia and Arachna in stunned horror. What in the world? Nadia's curse consumed them both. Let the light guide the way. In Nadia's mind, a gentleman greeted her. It's a pleasure to meet you, sister. I think I can get closer to your inner self now. The key to opening the horizons of the world is the blossoming of inner branches. The desire of the one who possesses these two things is a world of vivid imagination, seeking to change the world whenever it wishes. Look, the world dreamt of is so bright and beautiful, without a single stain. Would you like to lead the change of this world with me, embodiment of nature? Not as Cernunnos, the embodiment of magic. Nadia woke up dreamily. She found herself lying on a sandy beach. Before her, a crimson ocean. Where am I? Just now, I was fighting. And my heart was pierced. Nadia touched her gaping wound, wondering why she was still alive. Suddenly, a voice from behind, because from the beginning, you were neither alive nor dead. Pleased to meet you, Nadia. A girl who looked 8 or 9 tenths like Nadia approached her. But with red eyes. Who are you? So you don't know anything, huh? No wonder you called me out so readily. She laughed, delivering shocking news. Your heart has stopped beating. Controlled by a puppet master, a lifelike corpse, probably due to an artificial heartbeat created by the power of the branch. I've been waiting for you a long time. Because I wanted to face you like this someday, but I couldn't. As long as you were in control, I would only ever be your shadow. Nadia shouted, stop talking nonsense. Who are you, you perfect double of me? My name is Cernunnos, the first evil god of this world. She smiled, an evil smile, her red eyes turning black, solemnly introducing herself to Nadia. The gloomy sky suddenly turned to bright sunshine. In the primordial age, during the mythological era, a spirit beast, called the embodiment of magic, was given human form. In the vast forest in the west, filled with the blessings of Mother Nature, the residents here saw him as a god that they worshipped. At the same time, an avatar appeared whose name meant a person possessing both horns and wealth. That was Cernunnos. Mortal beings, inherently ephemeral, always seek beauty through generations and self-harmony. Cernunnos, along with them, prayed for eternal peace, unaware that it was merely a vain dream. In a violent era, race, culture, and faith, every aspect of humanity became the fleshly desires of others, making a world of mutual slaughter the natural order. The 6 incarnations were, on one hand, terrifying punishers. On the other, they were stern arbiters protecting humanity. Then, one day, an unannounced spark of a large-scale invasion engulfed the entire forest. The invaders, clad in golden armor, were a mighty army of heroes led by the warrior incarnation, Rayagla. The forest tribes fought against countless invading enemies. To protect his loved ones, Cernunnos also ventured onto the battlefield. The battle ended with countless lives lost, and the forest was completely burned to ashes. Cernunnos single-handedly withstood spears and arrows piercing his body. Rayagla approached Cernunnos. A glorious end for one chosen by the supreme god. I shall engrave your death deep within my heart. Cernunnos turned, his face astonished. Rayagla, a renowned warrior, a respected lion king, how could you be the mastermind behind such brutal slaughter? I don't expect your forgiveness, for I am prepared to bear the infamy of a cruel murderer. But there was a prophecy from Luna, the incarnation of magic, with the ability to foresee the future. She prophesied that all creatures on this land would be destroyed, and a terrifying, unprecedented world would emerge. Luna, the bearer of that prophecy, lost her life, her divine power extinguished. Do you think one of the other 6 incarnations did this? Cernunnos was enraged. They dared to take the lives of innocent beings, all because of a baseless prophecy. Rayagla gradually transformed into a ferocious lion. Who can guarantee my people won't be the next victims? I'll never sit idly by and wait for death. If things have come to this, I'll deal with them first. Hand over your divine power, protector of the forest. He felt this was not going to end well. The great incarnation, who always valued the lives of all beings, had unleashed a malevolent desire to kill everything. In eyes consumed by rage and a roar, the figure of Cernunnos, the incarnation of magic, vanished. He transformed into a monster, ready to confront Rayagla. A fierce and arduous battle ensued, and Cernunnos emerged victorious. Rayagla lay defeated, tongue lolling. Gyuyu appeared after the battle's end. The world calls us, those given human form, incarnations. But what of incarnations who harbor the same malice as humanity? What should they be called? He casually picked up Rayagla's fong and toyed with it. Cernunnos finally calmed down and turned to Gyuyu. what do you think of the name Evil God? Impressive. You are the one mentioned in Rayagla's prophecy. I am the incarnation of wings, the sacred relic you hold will be mine. He quickly returned to his former form, ready to fight Cernunnos. He didn't bother, casually snapping off one of his horns. If you've abandoned the meaning of reincarnation and harmony, sooner or later you'll become a monster consumed by malice and lose all motivation. I regret it, take it if you want. He handed one horn to Gyuyu. But I have a condition. Returning to Nadia's subconscious. That day, I made a pact with the incarnation of wings. If you can gather all the sacred relics, one day he will give me a branch. I want to expand this world's atmosphere, cover this land with a surreal world, and return it to the primordial world I yearn for. But there's something I didn't foresee. The appearance of you, it extinguished my malice. We are two sides of the same coin, ruling this surreal world together. You are a representative, another version modeled after me. Nadia, who had been watching, spoke up. That's why I always have dreams like this. A dream where I'm always running from an unknown monster inside me. Even now I'm still scared when I think about it. But I don't know why I see that monster is unhappy. The reason you want to change this world, and even borrow power from a tree branch, is because you regret your own powerlessness to protect what's precious to you. If I'm truly a part of you, then I also have a responsibility to bear this. Therefore, I will fight against evil with you and protect what I need to protect, as well as countless people on this land. Cernunnos chuckled. If you have the strength to do it, then being resolute is good. Those before me. You are one of the 6 strongest incarnations in history.